They kept saying, he had a cold, but this is the thing. When you have a cold, there's many things you can take for it. We didn't know he had a cold until he stood up. A cold doesn't force you to lose your train of thought. A cold doesn't force you to just throw things out randomly that to many people made no sense. And so how long do we continue to act like that we didn't see what we just saw last night? I thought for many people, the word I keep hearing, it was very painful to watch.
That was Gayle King, CBS This Morning. Having a cold doesn't make you make things up and forget things and leave your mouth hanging open and not blink your eyes. She noticed. Oh boy, there's a lot going on today. Big time Supreme Court decisions, but the presidential immunity decision will come out on Monday, not today. And it won't come out yesterday either. With the debate yesterday, it's too late for that. There's a lot of talk. Oh, is the Supreme Court going to come out with the presidential immunity? Will be a part of the debate, the presidential debate? No. And that's good. But now the Democrats are having a lot of issues. They've got a lot of problems. Not just the usual gender issues and psychological problems, but now they're eating their own head is what is happening here. The New York Times, for example, they've got a bunch of lefties that work there. They're very self-satisfied, like Thomas Friedman. Thomas Friedman's headline today: Joe Biden is a good man and a good president. He must bow out of the race. Or he's not a good man. He is not a good president. But must he bow out of the race? Well, Thomas L. Friedman of the New York Times says so, and he's one of their prophets, prophet of doom. Frank Bruni, another guy in the same canoe with Thomas L. Friedman. Biden cannot go on like this is the headline. Patrick Healy at the New York Times: I'm hearing high anxiety from Democrats over Biden's debate performance. No kidding. Is that right? And then they've got Michelle Cottle, Ross Douthat, and Ezra Klein, dedicated Democrats. After the debate, they love their colons, I don't think Joe Biden should be running. That's just the New York Times for you. Isn't that amazing? Now, here's an amazing new headline, and it's from CNN. The whispers of Hillary Clinton 2024 have started. Here she comes. I've been warning. For how long have I been warning that Hillary Clinton is behind the curtain with a blow dart gun and that Hillary Clinton's going to knock Joe Biden down a flight of stairs, that Hillary Clinton doesn't believe she's done. She's a Shakespearean nightmare. And CNN's Chris Lickspittle-Saliza, old Lickspittle, is typing up a storm today. In the immediate aftermath of the Supreme Court's monumental decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, he really wants to get an abortion. Conservative writer John Ellis took to the internet to make a provocative case. It was time for Hillary Clinton to make another political comeback. Now is her moment, he wrote. The Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade creates an opening for Hillary Clinton to get out of stealth mode and start down the path toward declaring her candidacy for the 2024 Democratic presidential nomination. Now, here comes Lickspittle-Saliza 2 years later, and he says, it's time for Hillary to get back in again. He wants Hillary to get back in. It's time for Hillary to get, because the Democrats need somebody. And if they're going to kick Kamala Harris to the curb, who is a woman of color, WOC, that's color, that's melanin. That's not the same as being white. That's different. She has girl parts, allegedly, and nobody knows for sure. And that she's a woman of color. Well, how do you get rid of her? Well, one way that would justify sidestepping, kicking Kamala Harris to the curb is by replacing Joe Biden with Hillary Clinton, because she's a wronged woman. Her husband wronged her, having sex with all those women, raping all those women, boinking the intern in the Oval Office and the presidential office and, the box of cigars and all that stuff. But now, how do you get around the Hillary problem? Excuse me, how do you get around the Kamala problem? I was just reading Hillary's name again. And honestly,
Are you going to run again?
No.
That is 100%. So in a few days, I'm not going to open my newspaper.
Well, I never say never to anything.
Yeah, because I lie all the time. So you got to keep those two things in mind. Man, oh man, I'm telling you. Clinton is exactly the right person to put steel in the Democrat spine and bring attention to the reality that ultra MAGA Republicans, as President Biden calls them, are tearing apart the nation. No, that's what Juan Williams writes. He's wrong about everything, of course. Just amazing. But now they're talking again, and I've been saying the whole time, and I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, it's just silly. Hillary's not coming back." Yeah, Hillary is not done. When people gather to throw dirt on her inside of a box, then maybe she'll be done. But even then, I'm not so sure. She thinks that she is still in the race. And as long as she thinks she is, the Clinton family, ironically, absurdly, is very powerful in the Democrat Party. The party of sexual assault and all of that.
Do you want to run again?
No.
Wait.
No.
That was a pause.
Well, I'd like to be president.
Okay.
See, in this way, she doesn't have to run. So this would be, and don't think that they're not having these discussions and haven't been having them for months, because they have been having these discussions for months. The New York Times headline today, a fumbling performance, and a panicking party. That's the New York Times. The Washington Post, Biden starts debate raspy, stumbles through talking points. Politico, WTF, panicked Dems start looking for alternatives to Biden. And the Daily Beast, Joe Biden mumbles and stumbles the Democrats into crisis. And Hillary Clinton would love to be the hero of the day, and she could pull the power move on Kamala as a lady who lost to Donald Trump the last time around in 2016. But, she has the right genitalia. So in theory, now don't pause to think about that, but that takes care of the Kamala problem if it's Hillary. Trying to put Gavin Newsom, a white man who has just been devastating to the state of California, I think would be problematic for the Democrats. But Hillary Clinton coming back for more. And the ironies of our political system, 2016, Trump versus Hillary Clinton. 2020, Biden versus Trump. 2024, Biden versus Trump. Biden gets kicked to the curb. Clinton versus Trump. Very banana republic. Very, very banana republic, honestly.
Right-wing extremists already have a plan to literally steal the next presidential election.
She's on to us. It's the vast right-wing conspiracy once again. You're a Democrat party. Yes, sir. All right, we've got a little bit more from the, we've got a lot more of all kinds of things, actually. And the Supreme Court decisions, big decisions today, and good decisions. And this is why it's important to have the Supreme Court on the side of the law and the Constitution and justice rather than the Democrat Party. All right? But Joe Biden last night on the lying about the border, it's not clear what he knows and what he doesn't know, but the Democrats are all dressed in women's clothing that they stole from airports, and they're in a panic because Joe Biden was exposed. And it's not, again, it was revealed to millions of people that have never had this put in front of them before by a corrupt news media. Two things were exposed: Joe Biden's ineptitude and incompetence and his mental limitations, and the fact that the Democrat Party has been deceiving the news media, has been deceiving the the American people for all these years about this. And that conservative media, once again, just completely vindicated. Conservative media, and I'm not just talking about myself, but let me say I've had all of this right all along, while the liars have been lying, and I've been exposing the liars and pointing out the news media lying to us and the Democrats and the news media lying to us, but I repeat myself, amazing stuff. So let's get to Joe Biden on the border, because Joe Biden lies about everything. But the two big things revealed, millions of people were exposed to Joe Biden as he really is, as we have been and as I have been explaining he really is. It's abundantly apparent to anybody that's paying attention and doesn't depend on George Stephanopoulos to get their news, or Chunk Todd. We got some chunk coming up. Joe Biden on the border, lying about the border, saying idiotic things about the border.
I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
A total ban. I just love the total ban. Then President Trump knocking it out of the park. That's just great. President Trump had a moment to go on. This is where he called him Brandon. He called Joe Biden Brandon. We at the Chris Plant store, we have some excellent Let's Go Brandon items. And remember normal. Boy, we could do well to remember normal once again. President Trump on the border.
Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him.
Brandon, just speak to him. And the Border Patrol, who endorsed me, but I won't say that. That's called a paralipsis. That is a rhetorical device where you say that you're not going to say something while you're saying it. It's popular with politicians. It's a good thing. And then Joe Biden, it never fails, brought his son Beau into it, who had tragically died of a brain tumor. He was the good Biden. If there was a good Biden, it was him. And he served a year in Iraq as a lawyer in the Judge Advocate General Corps. And as far as we know, didn't even ever see a burn pit.
My son spent a year in Iraq, living next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma.
Yeah, living next door to a burn pit. Yeah, Joe Biden. The poor man, he should just retire and go away somewhere, shouldn't he? And then there is this, because now the Republicans are on, and all of us, I think, are on the horns of a dilemma here. If you want President Trump to win, which I do you want Joe Biden to remain as the Democrat candidate because he's so awful, he's so terrible, that he is going to be easier to defeat? And you don't want to replace. Now, I mean, if it's Hillary, who do the Democrats have? They've got Kamala. They've got Gavin Newsom. They've got, who's a white guy, would roll over the woman of color. You got Hillary Clinton, who is a horror show. She's like one of those Saw movies out of Eastern Europe. Come on. 2 years after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs decision, it turns out after 65 million unborn babies have fallen victim to the Democrats' thing, and more than 1 million last year alone. Well, Preborn, wonderful organization, Preborn honors those souls who never had a chance to take their first breath. Every one of them could have become someone very special, of course, but now we'll never know. Thanks, Democrats. It's also reported the abortion bill, now responsible for more than 64% of abortions in the United States. And that's why every day Preborn's network of clinics stands strong with these unborn babies and their mothers, offering support and free ultrasounds to show mothers with unplanned pregnancies the life growing inside of them. And once a mom sees the life growing inside and hears the heartbeat, she becomes about twice as likely to choose life. Will you join Preborn and the Chris Plant Show in defense of the unborn? One ultrasound costs just $28. If you're a business owner, maybe you can consider a slightly larger donation. The gifts are tax deductible and will reach eternity. So get involved today by dialing pound 250 on your cell phone, and when prompted, use the keyword baby. That's pound 250, the keyword is baby. Or you can go online to preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. And rest assured that 100% of your tax-deductible donation will go toward helping save babies and their mothers. Isn't it wonderful? I've got President Trump. I've got some more President Trump for you. And I've got news media responding. And a bit more Joe Biden too. And lots of news media being the news media. Yeah, Supreme Court, big stuff out of there. Supreme Court rebukes Biden Department of Justice for abusing law to prosecute January 6th defendants. The Daily Caller headline on the Supreme Court decision, kind of a big deal. Let's grab a phone call, and I got a lot to get to, and not very much time to get to it, but we'll see what we can do. Let's go to Chandler, calling from Bethesda, Maryland. Chandler, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I am very well. Thank you very much. It's a splendid day.
Yeah, well, so this is my concern. You know, this is not a shock. They knew exactly what was going to happen. I mean, this is just short of elder abuse. I mean, this poor man, he can't run a bath, let alone the homeland we live in. And I mean that seriously, but I know that. But I worry about who are they going to put in. Michelle, Gavin, Hillary. We don't want that. We want Joe. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I think that if Joe Biden is on the ballot on Election Day, that, it is the preferred choice for President Trump as an opponent and for us as Americans to get the Democrats the hell out of the White House and out of power. Because, and again, I mean, he proved last night how limited he is, right? And your point is, Republicans shouldn't be pushing for Joe to go. We should just be quiet and let Joe stay.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's exactly my point.
But of course, nobody will pay attention. The Democrats won't pay attention to what Republicans and Republican media have to say. They'll do whatever they want to do, right?
Of course they will. And I'm like, what's that sound? It's the Soros machine working overtime.
The Soros machine kicking into high gear. You are right and you are wise, Chandler. All right, I've got there. I could do about 8 hours on this today. The debate and Joe Biden and his confusion and befuddlement and President Trump jumping in and just being President Trump being disciplined and focused and allowing Joe Biden enough rope to hang himself, Dana Bash and Jake Tapper trying to be on their best behavior and not doing a terrible job of being on their best behavior, I've got to say. Now, before we get to more audio from that, and I got to say the Supreme Court decisions, one of these has a lot to do with January 6th and the Democrat Party trying to lynch hundreds and hundreds of people from January 6th with this obstruction thing for which they can get 20 years in prison because the fascists are like Nazis or, Soviet commies. They call themselves liberals, but they're not. Before we get back to that, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Blaze calling from Bogota, Colombia, or as Jill Biden might say, Bogota. Blaze, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Thank you. You beat me to the Bogota thing. I was going to say that.
Were you really?
I've been thinking that for over a year.
Are you kidding me? That's very funny. I saw it in a map in the newspaper the other day, talking to my best girl, and I said, "Oh, look, Bogota." I was doing Jill Biden jokes.
As distinct as the Bogotas of the Bronx.
So, Blaze, calling all the way from Bogota, Colombia.
Yes, and thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
It's about the debate thing last night. you've often said that the media and the Democrats they're basically hand in glove. You say hammer and sickle, and I think that's appropriate many times. If there's the truth, that became more true this morning and last night they talk about how the Democrat Party is in a panic and the media is in a panic. What are they in a panic about? They're in a panic about it's about power. Who's going to lead the Democrat Party? Is Biden going to continue? If not, who's he going to be replaced by? They're worried about the election. They're worried about the power. What should they be terrified about? They should be terrified about the country. Who's running the country? I watched that thing last night, and I thought, this is the guy that has the nuclear codes. This is the guy that's the head of the world's main superpower. And during the time that he's been in power, the world's gone down the crapper. You look at this, and why are they not waking up terrified about that? The question that should be asked is, who's running the country right now? Who's running the country? Every time that Karine Jean-Pierre is asked a question by the White House press corps, and those guys should be mad last night. They should be mad. Did you see how they were dispensed with they weren't allowed in? They should be very angry at the White House because they were shown how unimportant they are. They should say, who's running the country? And whatever she says, the next question should be, yes, but who's running the country? Yes, but who's running the country? And the Republicans as well. This is what I think, because who am I? I'm nobody. I'm some guy down in Colombia. I was watching it. She was watching it. His people were watching it. The mullahs are watching it. The Sinaloa cartel was watching it. Putin was watching it. Everybody was watching it. They can spin it all they want for the people, for the public, for the media, but the whole world saw it. And the question is, who is at the top? And that's what people should be terrified by. That's what I was thinking.
It's absolutely correct. And honestly, Blaze, I did take this up right off the top of the show at the very beginning of the show. The two big things exposed last night is that Joe Biden is not running the country and that the news media has been lying to us every day for years. The two big explosions last night. Joe Biden's not running the country, so who is running the country? And that, Blaze, you're 100% right. That should be a burning question on the lips of every reporter and fake reporter in Washington and beyond. Like, my God, this man is clearly not in charge of the United States of America. And since he's not, who is? That sort of matters because he was the one that was elected to run the country. So some unelected person somewhere is running the country. And honestly, do you have any hypothesis, Blaze?
Well, I've believed for a long time that the coterie around Obama, President Obama, is part of it. I think those would be my theories. So many of his ex-officials have been found inside the government that I've always suspected that. I mean, who knows? But that's one theory, as good a theory as any. But I'm open to other ideas as well. But the reality is, and it's a serious problem because the United States is a self-governing republic that depends on the people the people are the government. The politicians are just the representatives. So the people have a right to know. The media has an obligation to inform them. The media has been lying to the people for the last 4 years about who is the government and who. They've been lying about everything. They've been lying about the Russia hoax. They've been lying about the laptop. They've lied about everything. I'm pretty sure they've lied a lot about many aspects of the January 6th thing. So the people have not been put in a position that they're supposed to be in order to select their representatives. And now what you have is it was exposed last night because they've been telling us everything that we've seen about Biden up till now was quote unquote cheap fake. They were lies. And yet you've been telling the truth. WMAL, which is a really important station, has been telling the truth to everybody. But the media at large has been lying to the people. The people have been deprived of the ability to select their leaders, like with proper information. And now it's been exposed. And I think that is one of the huge things that came out of last night. But these are the things that go through my mind as I watch this, because this was important not just for the United States, it's important for the world, because the United States is supposed to be the world leader. It's the chief superpower. It's a free country, supposed to be a free country, and it's supposed to lead by example. And suddenly, all the leaders, all the people in the world look at this thing, and they see that country is led by a completely empty suit.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's supposed to happen. The people are supposed to elect a new leader next November. Where are they going to get their information? Because now, and the GOP should be coherent on their messaging, that you can't believe what you hear coming from the media because they've been lying to you for the last 4 years. Who are you going to believe now? The media? Are you going to believe Joe Scarborough, who 2 weeks ago said that Joe Biden is as sharp as he's ever been, sharper than he's ever been? Are you going to believe Mika Brzezinski, who just is his echo chamber, all the people on that panel? Last night, Jake Tapper, they did okay. But did you notice that when Joe Biden talked about the Charlottesville thing, and he lied about that, Jake Tapper knows that Snopes debunked that whole lie within the last week or so, and he didn't correct it. He didn't say, well, President Biden, that's been shown to be not true. He didn't correct it. He let that lie go unanswered. I admit that Tapper and Batch, they basically did okay, but there were things like that I expected, and I really expected maybe Trump should have said to Tapper, Jake, you know better than that. You should fix that right now. Not leave it to me. But who are people supposed to get their news from? Everybody doesn't have the WMAL app. They don't have Fox. I watched it on Newsmax last night. But everybody doesn't have those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are they going to get their information? Are you supposed to rely now on the Washington Post, which has shown in the last week that it's radical reporters that run the newsroom there, that run the edit? They were able to run out a new editor.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to believe the New York Times? Are you supposed to believe MSNBC? Are you supposed to believe ABC News, where Stephanopoulos is going to be doing the debate next? If there is another debate, he's going to be running the debate.
Yeah.
I don't know what people are supposed to do. I don't know.
Well, the truth has never been as hard to find as it is now, with information everywhere in your hand, in your pocket, on your phone, and your iPad, and your laptop, and everywhere you look, there's information flying at you. And the truth has never been harder to find because there's so much corruption by the left and people that call themselves liberals who believe that they're on the side of the angels, which they don't believe in, when they lie to the American people. And it's quite extraordinary. Now, Blaze and I spoke once before, and it was a great conversation then, as today is a great conversation as well. And Blaze is from Canada originally, and you may have detected a bit of an accent. And in Bogota, Colombia, where Blaze, you're a professor of law in Bogota, Colombia, and you're obviously very engaged and a very well-informed, well-educated, intelligent person. Probably come from a long line of intelligent people, your parents and grandparents and so on. Very fortunate, white privilege or something, and great stuff. And I love the fact that you say you're in Bogota, Colombia, and the WMAL app, my mothership radio station in Washington, D.C., is your go-to. And I agree. I agree that it's a great station with great shows and great hosts. And our morning show, Larry O'Connor and O'Connor and Company, wonderful. And our afternoon person, Vince Colonnese. I don't know if you listen all day, Blaze, but these are great shows. And we have Mark Levin, Legal Authority in the evening, and I think we have the greatest station. I really do. And I'm not just saying that, I really do believe that's the case. And it's nice to hear you say that, Blaze, from Bogota, Colombia, with Canada in your rearview mirror. I think that's great.
I think that just to put in a plug for your station. Obviously, I can't listen all day because I have a job, but listen when I can. And this station has voices on it that are so insightful that I think everyone should listen to. You have this morning, for example, you have Larry O'Connor, you have Patrice Onwuka. She is so smart and she is so insightful. You have your colleague Mercedes Schlepp. She's excellent, and Julie Gunlock. Those three, they should have their own show on the weekend.
Yeah, that is great. And I tell you, and Patrice Onwuka comes on my Newsmax show, as a matter of fact, and she is wonderful. And Mercedes Schlapp is on my Newsmax show practically every day, not quite every day, but practically every day. And you're right, very smart women, wonderful women. Patrice from the Caribbean originally, and a wonderful, great American. And you're not even an American, and you're a great American.
Well, I have a lot of relatives in the U.S. I have my first cousin was in the U.S. Navy as a nurse. She was aboard the USS Stark when it got blown up. She was in the first wave in Desert Shield.
Wow.
Wherever we serve our country, whether in the Canadian forces or in the U.S. forces, we're part of Western civilization, and we stand up for it.
Yeah, and we've got to stand up for it. Western civilization is very much under assault. Blaze, thank you very much. Calling in from Bogota, Colombia today. Couldn't be greater. Now, Blaze was just talking about some of the Biden folderol from yesterday, some of the Biden stupidity from yesterday, and he was talking about Charlottesville and how Jake Tapper didn't correct him, even though the fakes at Snopes fact-checked their own fact-check about what President Trump said and didn't say about Charlottesville.
What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people?
Well, he didn't say they're fine people. And again, that's been fact-checked again and again. And Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are supposed to know what is true and what isn't true, and they're not supposed to let him get away with that stuff, but they do, because that's what the Democrats do. President Trump was having none of it.
Both of you know that story has been totally wiped out, because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president.
And he's not equipped to be president, and that was exposed last night. That's what was revealed last night. In case you didn't already know it, and most of us, in fact, doubtless all of you listening to this radio broadcast right now, or the podcast, you already knew this, because you get your news from the correct places if you want to be well informed and know things that are true. But we live in this Soviet-style media environment where the news media lies to us all the time on behalf of the Democrat Party. We have a corrupt bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. The Supreme Court put a lid on some of that today, and that's a very good thing. We've got the Justice Department pursuing January 6 people with 20-year prison sentences for obstruction, which the Supreme Court says inappropriate, doesn't apply here. But they don't prosecute the people that attacked the White House when Trump was in the White House for 3 days and burned the Church of the Presidents and all of that. Honestly, it's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? I have so much stuff left today that I didn't get to. It's even more than usual. It's terrible, all this stuff. We've got to get a bit of the media lunacy, because the media, they had a meltdown last night, and they continue to melt down this morning.
We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something.
Now, the news media melted down all over the place, including the communists. He used to self-describe as a communist, Van Jones, and they loved him. They brought him into the Obama White House. Remember, Anita Dunn, who loves Chairman Mao, brought Van Jones in, and Barack Obama, mentored by a communist as a teen, and then made a Communist Party voter the CIA director, and then he corrupted our presidential election. Nothing to see here. Van Jones on CNN last night, not amused with Joe Biden's performance.
That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden.
He loves him.
He didn't do well at all.
He didn't do well. You noticed, huh? He noticed that, Van Jones.
He had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now.
consider taking a different course now. I think he means course, and I think he means leave the presidency and give it to Hillary Clinton.
We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that. But that was not what we needed from Joe Biden, and it's personally painful for a lot of people. It's not just panic, it's pain for what we saw tonight.
Just see the funny meme going around of David Chalian on CNN saying time to bring out Big Mike. Big Mike meaning Michelle Obama. Turns out it was a deep fake video, but it's funny. It looks realistic. John Carl is a Democrat. He works at ABC Fake News. Oh, wait a minute. I went to the wrong place, didn't I? Yes, I did. Let's go back to CBS. That's number 22. I apologize. CBS News, they were similarly disappointed.
I think the first thing that many people witnessed in watching this debate was President Biden's shaky, hoarse voice. What's wrong with him?
Well, Nora, we only found out what's wrong with him about halfway through the debate. We started asking right away. As soon as he took the stage, as soon as he opened his mouth and started speaking, he obviously sounded raspy.
You guys just picked up on this. You should listen to my radio show. I've been talking about this for years.
So I started firing off texts to various Biden campaign officials, what's wrong with him, and got radio silence. One person said, well, maybe he just needs to warm up. And then about 45 minutes in, a slew of responses from White House and Biden campaign officials saying, yes, he has had a cold for the past few days. He was examined by his personal doctor.
And he's taking methamphetamine. And why are his eyelids not functioning? He's not blinking. Why is his mouth hanging open? Why does he look like a cadaver?